not to be provocative, but to pursue the cause of peace. I mean, please, I beg everybody to look at the words that I used, calling for Israelis and Palestinians to live in peaceful liberty together. You know, I'm not provoking a view to say that Israel should not exist or Palestine should be eradicated and that the settlements expand and so on. I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying, please, the only way we'll resolve this isn't through military means, it's through a peace process that needs to be resurrected.
So you're saying your wording was actually a call for a two-state solution?
It's a call for peace.
And a two-state solution.
And a two-state solution.
Why didn't you say two-state solution outright? Because you ended that particular part of your speech, and indeed ended your speech saying free Palestine twice.
Well, let's examine that, because the people have called for free Palestine, and I have empathy and sympathy with their cause, because what they want for themselves in the West Bank and in Gaza is to live in freedom without the threat of violence, to be able to conduct their lives in accordance with basic human rights. Is that really too much to ask? They were asking for their freedom in the West Bank and in Gaza, not to be caged in the biggest open-air prison in the world. That surely is not an unreasonable ask. I'd say it's a legitimate ask for Palestine in Gaza and in the West Bank to be free, for the people to live free and fulfill lives without fear of violence, without their lands and their properties being taken from them by force. I think that's perfectly proper, and it's a legitimate aspiration and ambition.
Given what is seen as the historical resonance of that phrase between the river and the sea, do you regret using it?
But I used those words to calibrate and move the debate in the direction of peace and a two-state solution. We are talking about geography in the Middle East. That term has been used by a number of actors to mean a variety of things. Freedom for Palestine in the West Bank and in Gaza. It's been abused by people wanting a different outcome, a different a solution, and not a two-state solution, but predicated on the eradication of Palestine or of Israel. And I depart from that vehemently, and that is why I am using the words that I did, carefully calibrated to make sure that my meaning was clear.
So no apology now, but if the Chief Whip was to say to you, Andy McDonald, you need to apologise to get the whip back, would you do that?
Well, we've just started the conversation. I've said that I trust that my clarification and explanation will be satisfactory to the Labour Party.
And when Lord Manderson picks up on the phrase that you used the other day and says that you deserve to be out of the tent, he has the ear of Keir Starmer, do you think he's speaking for himself or reflecting some leadership thinking?
I can only take Lord Peter Mandelson, at his word, and for him to interpret my remarks that seek peace and a two-state solution and people living side by side in peace as somehow capable of being interpreted as promoting the destruction of Israel is quite frankly Kafkaesque and perverse, and he should withdraw his remark. What we need now is careful comment, not factional indulgence and personal vendettas, whatever it may well be, that Peter Mandelson is conducting. I think he should consider his words much more carefully than he has.
Now, in your speech, you said that Hamas was guilty of terrible crimes in Israel on the 7th of October. But you then said, but that's not the reason why Israel is taking the action in Gaza. And you quoted a resident of the Rafah area of Gaza saying, this is about ethnic cleansing. So are you saying that what Israel is doing now in Gaza is not an act of self-defense? You're saying it's ethnic cleansing?
Look, let's wind that back, because 1,400 people in Israel were butchered by Hamas, and I condemn their barbarity outright. They've taken hostages, innocent people, and they have got to be returned to their families. That has to be stressed and said. But we have to also understand that the origins and the context of this dreadful upsurge in horrific violence didn't start in October 2023. This has a long history of people being denied their rights